All right, greetings. So, it's Freedom Phil talking about some of the weird memories of my life. The 4 years I lived in the woods, and just a bunch of other things. Times I did the van life during the first stage of progress before van life was a thing, and all the other memories, trucking and all that crap. I'll cover them sooner or later. I love the fact that this phone can go all the way down to 240 on the video ratio. I'm like, well, the video's a little blurry. I'm a talking guy. Doesn't matter. And even then, 1080p, you're really not going to you really be able to see that mouse that's over there. He spotted it. So he's all like intent on that. And every once in a while, the mouse is like kind of make its way back over here. I guess the hole must be over here. But anyways, today what I'll talk about is one of the areas me and my buddies, TJ, Murphy, and some other people, we used to go do campfires. And that was the majestic Murdoch Beach area. That was one of the many spots. The majestic Murdoch Beach area, there are 3 roads that I can remember. There was the main road that then eventually kind of wide off to different places. One went up the hill through these 2 big humps called, Sisters. And you go down it. Sometimes you bottom out. You went too fast on the other side. Bottom out a little on the back. And it was a cool area to have a campfire because after a clear cut happens, there's basically just a ton of slagwood around. So you could, just be safe, go over and keep it away from the pile itself. But you can just walk, like from here to there or less, like probably from here halfway there, and you've got a pile of wood everywhere you want to be. And so you're like, what did you do? Well, I drank. TJ didn't drink. Murphy would have a couple beers tops. Sometimes people bring a little herb and, basically chillax, listen to the radio, BS about things. TJ would talk about sports. He probably was and still is a huge Rams fan. Just talk about bowling, all that crap, just BS. People are like, well, we'll just go out there with your buddies. Yeah. And I remember a lot of people would be like, what? Just dudes with sausage party? And this is like I've said before, I've always lost a lot of respect for people when guys just can't go out and just be, like it's always got to be on the lens of either getting pussy or, why isn't their pussy around type of shit. I've always found that like that to me seems like an inadequacy. But, we'd go out there, we'd have a fire, we'd chill. And it was a pretty cool place. There's this middle road was the long straight flat one. That was part of the old railroad, if I remember right. And I'm guessing it was part of the railroad because there was actually a rail car or something that, went off the road, went a ways down the hill. I don't know how they wrecked it, but everybody had told me about it. And, it's like, okay, that's why that was long and straight. But if you went down to what was pretty much the end of that road, and that road probably continued way back in the day when it went all the way to Clallam Bay or wherever. I don't know if it went out to Clallam Bay. Let me put it like this. I know that road went out a ways. It was a logging railroad. So basically, there was a bunker, like one of those World War II spotting bunkers, because the 70-mile guns back at Salt Creek Recreation, that used to be like a small fort of sorts. And in case the invasion came from this side of the ocean, made it that far in, they had these guns of like, look them up. Look up the size of the shells. What, did you spot the mouse again? He's there somewhere, or she or whatever. But, just in case the invasion came, they had these spotting bunkers all along the peninsula, all along the Strait of Juan de Fuca. And it's kind of a weird, cool area out there. And so basically you go look around, you see some stuff, you'll climb into it, look at it, it's got the kind of little area we can get the visuals and stuff. And, it is what it is. It wasn't really a good area. We did a fire out there once, but it was really windy. So that's why we kind of stopped using that area. Usually elected for the area up on the hill, lots of wood, good view of the boats, not to say that bunker didn't have a good view of the water. But yeah, you could look out there and you'd see the usual, freight ships, log ships, and occasionally you get the big cruisers, cruise ships going through there. And then you would hear the hum, not like the Windsor hum from Zug Island, nothing like that. It was actually barges. And that hum, that low motor hum would carry all across, all the way up to where my yurt was up there near the highway. So we'd be out there. I'm like, man, you can really hear the hum tonight. And you just have a fire, chillax. Murdoch Beach. you used to be able to go all the way down to Murdoch Beach. And eventually they blocked off the last, I don't know, block or so of it. And they built a kind of a little parking area and a pit toilet. And way back in the day, though, you'd have people that would just camp out there for however long. And this is back when America was more of a free place. You got to understand, too, the peninsula goes, it's like a roller coaster when it comes to employment. Plus, way back in the day, there were more cedar shake mills, wood mills. Logging was a bigger thing. You got a lot of people. And the legend of the peninsula is that Seattle used to take homeless people, load them up on buses, and dump them in Port Angeles. And some of those people just got a job at the mill or settled down. Some probably wandered off. Some just, went out and partied. You had old hippies, loggers, and all sorts of different types. Ups and downs of the economy. So sometimes there'd be people that were just camped out there for however many months because, well, rent's expensive. And this is back before everybody got a free ride for oops, I had a kid. Like at best you could, if you had to justify, if you were a guy, for instance, you had to justify where you were getting food stamps. If you were a chick, they'd try to help you. But that's back when being on welfare actually really sucked comparatively to now, where it's like pretty much like just being part of the working poor, except for you don't have to work. So it wasn't uncommon for people to just have a place out there and they just camp. And a lot of roads were open. Roads were open everywhere, as we're now. A lot of my memories now have gates in front of them. And it's not just because some private owner got tired of trash. Usually a lot of it's just because the government just doesn't want to have the sheriff. They don't want to waste gas. That gas they're sitting there idling away, or they're just sitting there, on their cell phone or doing whatever, or sitting there BSing with the other officer. Yeah, they don't want to use that gas to, drive down a road once in a blue moon. So it's just easier to block them off, which, I don't know, it just feels like a little bit of our freedom has been chipped away in that respect. But the cool thing, though, was about Murdoch Beach is it wasn't like a nice, beautiful sandy beach. It was a typical kind of rocky sand mud flat, probably some good clam digging there. And back in the day, I didn't even really do mussel picking, clam digging. That came down the road later. And I think how much better my life would have been if I was doing that back then. And it was a cool place. It was a cool place to go do a fire, hang out, do your thing. And, one last thing about that area, there's a legend, and I've heard it over the years, there's actually a motorcycle trail that goes from, I don't know whether it's the old railroad, flat road, or the top road, but one of those two has a trail that leads over to the North Maintenance Alder area, which in between Murdoch Beach and Twin Rivers is probably only, I'd say 3 to 5 miles. Let's say five miles, like as the crow flies, tops. So, you had these connections. And that would make sense because way back in the day, they had a railroad through there. So there's probably the leftover remnants. Just like you go to a lot of areas in the Northwest and you'll see these cutbacks. You have this beautiful forest and people they think it's all virgin. You're like, no, you could just barely see it, but you can see the cutback. You're like, see how it just suddenly gets flat and just kind of go along. That's an old road. And I've had a lot of good times in those hills all over the place out there. So, yeah, this Freedom Phil, just a long meandering story about some of the places I've been. Like I said before, some of this I'm just doing because, let's say I ever get Alzheimer's or something, or if people wondered, hey, that guy, what was his life? Why is he a van dude, drifter, trucker? Why is he this way? And a lot of these stories are kind of to explain that. So anyhow, like and subscribe. Y'all take it easy.